and welcome to Spark of Light Spiritual Chat Show. My name is Alice Trevorrow. I'm a spiritual medium and psychic and producer and editor of the show. And tonight we have our lovely Judith Miller, who is also host tonight. And we will be asking some lovely questions to our guest, who is Adel Houten. And Adele has a vast amount of knowledge and experience. She's also a lady who does hypnotherapy. I'm looking at the list here. She's got a diploma in advanced clinical hypnotherapy. She's a master practitioner in hypnotherapy, a master trainer and NLP practitioner, and EFT master trainer, virtual gastric band accredited mindfulness as well for EFT, holistic life coach, star magic facilitator, mental health first aid instructor, spiritual psychologist, spiritual practitioner, and sound healing practitioner. Wow, I don't think my arms is long enough to get all that list down, but wow, amazing. So Adele actually helps the spiritually curious who feel a little bit stuck in their life, a little bit lost, they don't know where they're going in their life. And she helps create more of a freedom and flow through healing, and through healing of trauma as well that could be affecting their life and the aspects of things that they're doing today, or how they are actually got their perception of life. She also helps them relearn the truth of who they truly are, finding deep within who they are, and is a powerful creator of creating their own reality. So without any further ado, I am going to invite first our lovely guest in 2 seconds. Next, here is Judith. Okay, so Judith.
Good evening, Alice.
Hello, my darling. How are you? You all right?
Yes, I'm good. How are you?
I'm absolutely fine. Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm excited to have our guest on this evening.
I know, and there's so much to chat about, and absolutely.
There's heaps. So, without any further ado, let us get our lovely Adel Houten. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Nobody can ever get my name right. I mean yours is right, but mine isn't, But I hope I'm getting yours right, Adele. So, welcome, Adele. Hello, hi there.
Hello. Yes, you did get my name right, Adel Houten.
Adel Houten, I did get it right. Okay, grand, that's brilliant.
Hi.
So thank you for accepting our request to come on to the show this evening. And as I was reading out, I mean, there was a whole list there of things, but I would like to maybe start at the beginning with you. A couple of things, actually. Where and when did it all start? And are you spiritually aware yourself? How did this all start for you, Adele? Because I would imagine a journey took you to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you were reading out all those things, it sounds like I'm some sort of course junkie, but I'm not. I'm just completely dedicated to learning. I've got a very inquisitive mind, and it started 20 years ago, and I can remember the day that it started. I can remember the moment as clear as anything. At the time, I was in a sales job, and I was selling IT networks and data centers, very high pressure sales. And I remember distinctly one day thinking, so what? I've sold a server. I haven't helped anybody. And at that precise moment, an email came onto my screen. And the email was for a hypnotherapy course down in City University in London. And I'd never even dreamt of hypnotherapy before. I didn't really know what it was. But yeah, I went down to London and did this course. And that was my first step into the field of personal development, really. Loved it. Yeah, I went with my husband at the time. And I was very, very good at hypnotizing people. He was really good at being hypnotized. I didn't use that to my advantage most of the time.
I was going to ask that question.
Not even a little bit.
But yeah, I did this taster weekend. I loved it, and then so from there, everything kind of evolved. So I opened up my private practice. I did my diploma. I still Mind Masters, which I still have. And then I started getting asked to go into businesses as well. I'd help people with their own issues who may have had businesses, and they'd say, could you come and do something for my staff? So I'd end up going into businesses, and then I got really busy doing that, and I thought to myself, well, who's going to look after the clients? So I set up an academy to train other people in the modalities that I was doing. So I teach advanced clinical hypnosis and EFT, and those at the time were the two main modalities that I was using. So I just needed to replicate myself, basically. So yeah, it all just evolved.
Yeah, I'm quite interested in also, finding out a little bit more on that. I've got obviously, a little bit of knowledge on EFT, but for those who do not know what EFT is, could you explain that just a little bit more, please?
Yeah, it stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, and it works on the energy system. Some people call it like a psychological form of acupressure. Something happens which causes a disruption or a blockage in the energy system, which causes the problem. And what whereas an acupuncturist might put a needle in to allow the energy to flow, we would tap on key acupressure points. So while saying some stuff relating to what the issue is. And it really is a phenomenal technique. I was asked the other week, if I could only choose one modality out of all the modalities, and I was only allowed to use one for the rest of my life, which one would it be? I would probably say EFT. Yeah. Profound.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you something here. What would you tap for stress if you are feeling quite stressed?
Well, even just the act of tapping, what it does is it calms down the amygdala in the brain. So it takes out of that fight or flight. So it depends where you are. I mean, if you're in the middle of a crowd, you're not just going to want to start doing all this. You could discreetly tap on your collarbone. That's quite a nice one to tap. But yeah, it depends what you're stressed about,
Yeah, I suppose it does. I've got a very sick dog at the moment, so between worrying about the dog and the grief of that, and not getting enough sleep as well, my eyes is just like, stay open, and so I'm feeling a little bit stressed. So I was wondering if there was anything I could let the flow go.
Self-care.
Have you got any examples of how it all works? I know you do quite a lot, and I know Judith's got questions for you as well. And but how does it work? Like, if someone comes to you and they say to you, look, I'm struggling with my life. I don't know where I'm going. I feel stuck. We look at a spiritual aspect of that, and this is spiritual you're doing in another way. How would you go about helping someone? And have you got any examples, of it as well?
Yeah, I mean, usually people come not just because they're feeling stuck. There's usually something going on, like they have issues with relationships, or they feel like they procrastinate, they hold back. There's that fear of failure, fear of success. And the way I work is I get to the root of, well, why is that there? There's a part of them that's holding them back for some reason. And that part of them is only trying to help them in some way. It may be it's trying to keep them small, keep them safe, and it usually comes around by trauma. Something happens which creates that limiting belief, and we decide in that moment, I am not good enough, or it's not safe to be seen, or people are scary, or the world around us is not safe, and that tends to keep us stuck. It's like, the procrastination, like the mouse who sort of plays dead while the cat sat over it, and then eventually it starts to move. That's what we tend to do. We play dead. We stick because there's that feeling of not being safe potentially. So yeah, I get to the root of, well, what is that about? Where have they not felt safe to just step into the true essence of who they are. Gosh, I've got loads of examples.
So are you doing that through a form of hypnotherapy, Adele? Because I'm just thinking, for instance, they maybe have no idea, they maybe have no recollection of what has caused them to be stuck. So it's really, I'm assuming, a method of taking them back through hypnotherapy, to unlock that so that they can finally release it.
Yeah, absolutely. If they have no idea what the issue is, where that came from, then hypnotherapy is a great way of getting back there. You can do it with EFT as well. I've had people regress to past lives with EFT as well, but hypnotherapy is a great thing. And there's lots and lots of different types of hypnosis, and I teach all types of hypnosis, but I very much prefer sort of a direct method. So I would talk to the subconscious, and I would just say, go to where this comes from, and they would just go straight back to the memory, because the subconscious cannot lie. It doesn't have logic. It won't say, well, it could be this one or it could be that memory. It would just go straight back to a memory. So yeah, it's really good to uncover that.
I find, and it probably is a form of that. I would do meditate. I call them meditation sessions because I'm very much aware it's not past, So, but I find that when you work with the subconscious, or when you're helping with meditation, you can, as you say, you just go straight back to that exact point, and it's fascinating because people, when they come out of it, they have to feel, well, they don't have to, but I'm sure they feel absolutely amazing. They feel that difference, because I know in meditation sessions they feel that difference. So like what you're helping them release must be really make a difference to their path and their life going forward.
Meditation is quite a strong thing that I think we all do as spiritualists, as well. We do a lot of that, and we do a lot of working on ourselves too, because as mediums, you have to. There is no point in doing the work that you do, but not working on you too, because you have to progress, So I can understand where you're coming in, and it's amazing how that job that you did taught you this is not where you're meant to be.
Oh yeah, I felt that totally in every essence of my being, particularly on a Sunday night. I just didn't want to go to work in the morning, but it's interesting. I had that desire, and I don't know where that thought came from. So what? I haven't helped anybody, I just really don't know where that came from. But clearly, I had that mission and that purpose, and that moment came through. But yeah, when you deal with the past traumas, one that's just sprang to mind, even on a physical level, things change. One lady I was working with recently, she didn't come for this. She came for other stuff, but she actually had psoriasis all her life. And we did some work, and it went back to a memory of her where she was a child sacrifice. In fact, and she was very much in that moment and feeling the energies of that. And since the session, her psoriasis cleared up, even though that wasn't what she came for. So that cellular memory on a physical, spiritual, emotional, it's all the same. It's all, you can't, it's all interlinked. It's very powerful.
So is it getting back into maybe something that's deep rooted that you've maybe shelved away or hidden a little bit, and you're getting back in there to the subconscious and just pulling that out and releasing it? Is it like that?
Yeah, well, time as we know it, linear time, doesn't exist, past, present, future. It's all happening in this one moment. And I always say it's like Russian dolls. We're going within, and we're going to those parts of us that are still experiencing that on some level. And when we change those parts of us, the inner, then the outer must change as well. The representation we see in this reality So yeah, it's we're not going to like past lives. I say past lives because that's how we kind of,
that's how people recognize them as. Yes.
Yeah,
and it's and I agree with that terminology. I don't like that term, past lives, because it's not, it's very much as you say, it's really a reflection. If I'd be correct, Adele, what you do is help people understand what the reflection is, looking at them, and how it's affected them. So it's like that mirror. We look in that mirror, and a lot of us maybe complain about this or feel that, but we don't really understand why we're feeling like that. So you help us see, okay, that's why you're feeling like that. That's why you're reflecting that. Would that be correct?
Yeah, when we can understand the why, and we can bring conscious awareness and logic to why we're doing something, then it doesn't make sense to do it. So therefore we can stop that, because then it becomes a choice. A lot of the behaviors when we're stuck, we're not choosing to be stuck. There's a part of us that is keeping us stuck for whatever reason. And when we can understand what purpose is that serving, and realize, well, actually it's not serving any purpose any longer because we've grown, times change, people change, and we have, then we can make that decision not to have that particular issue. So yeah, and it's really like you said, I think it's really important to work on yourself. And I believe that every client that I work on is me. There's no difference between that client and myself. I've done a lot of plant medicine, and I remember in one particular ceremony, I had this real download realization. Every single client that I'd ever seen, thousands, one after the other, came to me and said, I am you, I am you, I am you, I am you. And it's there's no separation between any of us. We are all one. So we're always working on ourselves.
Very much so. I'd love to ask you, Adele. We would both be of that agreement. We're very much one. There's no separation, and our spiritual paths are just probably amazing to us all. But I'm really interested in the shamanism. Shamanism. I always say it wrong. Yes. I know I'm like tongue-tied tonight, and I don't know what's wrong with me, Judith. But I very much, I love hearing all about it. I know it's very much takes us back to the beginning too. It's very much connected to the stars, constellations, the solar system. What got you into that, Adele, or what took you down? What drew you to it?
Well, my first step into it would probably be with the plant medicines. I went over to the Amazon, and I spent a few weeks out there in the Amazon, drinking ayahuasca and, doing all sorts of different things.
Wow.
And
so what's ayahuasca, if you don't mind me asking? Is that the plant that makes you spiritually aware?
Yeah, it's so basically it's a vine, ayahuasca vine and chacruna leaf, and they mix, and it's only when they're mixed that they become psychoactive. So it's a psychoactive plant medicine, and it's life-changing. And so I remember the very first time I took it, I didn't really know much about it. A friend of mine.
Were you nervous to take it?
No, to be fair, I don't really get. Maybe I'm a bit of a psychopath because I don't really get.
No. I actually think it would be amazing to try that, but I'm very person for. I'm not big into I'm really not into all the medications. I like the natural stuff, but I think talking to somebody and hearing their experience makes it really could help make a difference.
Yeah, no, it's a very powerful, life-changing experience. I've probably done it over 50 times now. I've done it very
that minute, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The very first time I did it. Oh, sorry, was somebody going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what was your experience like when you took it? What were you like? What did you feel?
It's different every time. Honestly, no two journeys are the same. The first time I did it, I remember a friend of mine booked it, and then she ducked out, and I was booked on it as well, and I was like, should I go? And I kept saying, if this happens, I'll go. If this happens, I'll go. To the point where I was stood in a newsagent's, and I said, right, I'm going to buy a scratch card, and if I win anything on it, even £1, I'll go. And I won £50. So I said, right, I'll go. I should have said out.
Saved.
Yeah. So I went, and I didn't know that much about it, but I remember taking it, and I had this big leaf with this beautiful woman's face talking to me, and I was talking to this woman, and I remember at the time we had a house up for sale for about 18 months waiting to move, and I was saying to this woman, help us sell the house, amongst other things. And the next day I was telling everybody, and everybody said, oh yeah, that's the lady with the vine, everybody sees that. And I was like, whoa, because I didn't know anything about it. And lots of different things happened. I felt my third eye open. I had a lot of downloads. The only real issue that I had, that I knew was a real, it didn't make sense at the time, was if I hadn't seen my son for a few days, I would say, oh my God, he's dead. And I knew it was irrational.
Mm-hmm.
But the medicine showed me where that came from. So she took me on a journey, and she took me back to the first instance when I had to rehome my dog, and I stayed up all night saying goodbye to him, and it was the most painful thing. And then I said, why did I go through that? And then it took me to when I was younger, I got home from school, and my mum had given my dog away, and I never got to say goodbye. And then it took me to a past life where I was a maiden, and my husband had gone away, and he died, and I never got to say goodbye, and all the tears, and it was that theme of never getting to say goodbye. And my husband that went away, I instantly knew that was my boyfriend's son in this life, and he was a fair-haired warrior. And I remember telling my boyfriend, who obviously thought I was crazy, and he said his name, Finley, means fair-haired warrior, which was really bizarre. But you know, the most bizarre thing, that weekend we had a viewing, and the couple that bought the house, guess what they were called? Mr. and Mrs. Vine. I kid you not. So,
Brilliant.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've had very many experiences, lots and lots, too many to even say, but it's a powerful plant.
So is that something like, I know when you watch the different podcasts, I've watched Mike Tyson, and he does talks about his spiritual journey, and he talks about the toad. Is that something basically the same? Are they similar experiences? Because he talks about his ancestors and the journey he goes on with that. So is it similar experience or slightly different? Do you know?
Slightly different. He's talking about Bufo alvarius, which I've done as well.
Oh, gosh, okay.
Yeah.
Go you. Just right.
No.
No.
It's they call it the God molecule. So you smoke it, and it's natural again, and it's pure DMT, which is the chemical release from the brain when people pass. It's Bufo alvarius is like ayahuasca, but shortened. It only lasts about 20 minutes, whereas ayahuasca can last around 6 hours.
Whoa, so that long?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a very long, very long.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I could do that. I'm just personally me. I like to be in control of things, so that may be my issue there.
I was going to say our journeys is not meant to be controlled.
I know, but there is situations you do have to control in your life, you know. So it's not all freedom, you know.
I've really changed. I have to say my views is really different on that. I've learned to just go focus on each day, and every single day is what's happening. Deal with that, and then go for it. And I very much. I'm learning to refocus that train of thought, but I'm a happier person since I've done it.
Yeah.
Just let go.
Yeah, I understand that aspect of letting go and relaxing, and I understand that. But there is things in life you do have to control, and I'm in that situation at the moment, and I really, with my own dog at the moment who's really sick, and there is a case of, where am I going with this? Am I going to be left to have to put the dog to sleep, or am I going to have this taken away from me? I need to take control, because I don't feel I'm getting much help externally from other sources. So I've had to take control of this and say, look, I want this, I want that, I want the next thing, and she's staying with me just now, and I'm going to look after her. If I had to let it go and flow and okay, c'est la vie, whatever happens, my dog wouldn't be with me today.
But you see that as a sign of acceptance, I was going to say, Adele. If you look at it as an acceptance.
Sorry. The key is knowing what to control and what not to. It goes back to the serenity prayer. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So when we try to control that which we cannot control, that's what causes the stress. Is knowing, is having that discernment. Can I control this? No, in that case, I have to accept it. Like you say, Judith, that word acceptance. Because a lot of stress comes from trying to control that which we cannot control. You cannot control the situation with your dog to an extent. You can control the outcome to an extent. Yeah.
And it is hard because there are fur babies and family, and we just, it's hard situations to be in, and as painful as it is, we are.
Yeah, but there is exceptions. So that's what I was meaning, Judith. Like there is exceptions to control. There is a freedom, and there is there's things that you have to chill and relax and just surrender and just see what is going to come, because we're kind of mind mapped in a way anyway before we come on to Earth. But I also feel, though, there is some situations you do have to take control of, or your life would run away from you. That's what I feel.
I don't mean like you should just go, let it all go. I do understand that, but I've also learned that like we can't change what, as we're learning, we make those corrections and we learn from our lessons, and we can't change. So we're going to experience the outcome of our actions until we do start learning and accepting. So it's about making the changes within us in all ways. And I've learned that stress, I used to be hands up. I used to be such a stressy person. But I've learned that, one, it causes a lot of the problems. And two, it never changed anything apart from our health and ourselves. So I've learned, what I mean is, in what they're saying, like, so that I've learned to accept that, okay, I'm maybe not very happy with this situation, but this is how I'll deal with it going forward.
Yeah, but
does that make more sense?
Stress and control can be two different things, though. Because control.
Oh yeah, no, I don't mean it is. I'm just saying I was using my stress as an example.
Yeah, because control can be a positive, and it can also be a negative.
Oh yeah,
this is a conversation that started, doesn't it, Adele?
But the Shamans were really deep into it all, and I'm mystified by the Shamans. So is that like anything to do with the Mind Masters? What's the Mind Masters then, Adele?
Mind Masters is the name of my business. That's what I called my business 20 years ago. Mind Masters,
Good name.
And where is your business then? Whereabouts is it, Adele?
So I deal with people now with the advent of Zoom, obviously, all over the world. But I live up in Tockles in Darwin, near Darwin in the countryside. So I've just moved up here to do retreats. I've got a retreat house. I do lots of
sounds lovely.
And But I work all over the UK with the business. I have a business to business side of things. So the B2C is the Mind Masters and Adel Houten, but my B2B, my B2B, my business to business. I'm very one of my missions is to make businesses more trauma informed and spiritually aware. So I will go into businesses and I will do things like well-being events or stress management, or hypnotize them all in a conference, or and I get a lot of referrals for one-to-one clients from businesses who I either see myself or I pass through to one of my team. But whilst I'm in the businesses, I'm talking about these things. I'm talking about spirituality. I'm talking about trauma, and it's not necessarily what's happening in the business at that time. It could be that somebody's triggered by somebody else because they remind them of their mother, you know. So that side of things, I do all over the UK.
Yeah. I was wanting to ask you as well two things. Actually, so I'm just writing it down. Your retreat, because I'm thinking, okay, so what is your retreat about? What would you expect if we were coming to Adel's retreat?
So that's something that we just started up. So I'm a sound healing practitioner. So I use a lot of sound. I use lots of different instruments. I use my voice. I do a lot of healing, but during the sound as well. I do a therapy called, well, it's not really therapy, but sound magic healing, which is an energy therapy, which is literally out of this world. It's a very, I'll tell you about that. And I'll pair up with other people. So we've got one coming up where I've got a lady coming to teach people about lymphatic drainage and cups, and, you know, just different things like that. And we're just by the reservoir, so we'll have a walk and maybe a cacao ceremony, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, it sounds lovely. It does sound lovely.
I can feel a retreat coming on. I can feel it.
I was just about to say I wouldn't mind experiencing that lymphatic.
Could you not see my eyes twinkling at that? Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah. And you see the sound healing you were talking about, and you were saying you use your voice for some of that. Would that be bringing? I know you don't work so much spiritual like me or like Alice or myself would work. You're very much guided in many ways, but you say when you listen to some light language, it's a form of healing, and it's not always talking. It can be signs or people's like a tones, and it's really all to do with different tones and like vibrations and things. Would it be similar like that, Adele? What you do with your voice?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's vibration. Even the words have vibration behind them, you know. So everything, even the light language, it's all vibration. So when you combine the vibration with intention, it's very, very powerful, because as we know, we create our own reality. The outside is just a mirror reflecting what's inside. And when you do the sound here, I mean, I started the sound healing because I don't know. I just had this feeling I need to do sound healing. I think was it Edgar Cayce who said, or Nikola Tesla, the future of healing is sound and light. And I thought, right, I need to learn this. And it was very interesting. And what I like about it is when I do sound healing as a group, people can benefit for, you know, a very small fee. And I can help a lot of people rather than seeing somebody on a one-to-one. And I've had people, because I combine it with the healing as well.
So you're channeling, you are channeling.
It's, even EFT, it's all channeling, hypnosis. It's coming through you rather than from you. I don't think it's coming through me. And so when I'm deciding which instrument to pick up, it's decided for me. But I had one chap come and he even just after one sound bath, he came off his anxiety medications, didn't have anxiety. He you know, profound changes, and I was really surprised at how profound it can be. But it's very intuitive the way I work.
Yeah. I found it quite hard to work. My friend bought me a beautiful brass singing bowl. And have you got one, Alice? And I
got one at Christmas.
I spend time up in my spiritual room, and I'm trying to and like, this seems so hard to try and get, you know. So did you find it hard to learn, you know, the different tones, how to
No,
not put it together because you're channeling, but did you find it hard to start with?
No, it comes down to having good training. I think a lot of people wing it; they'll pick it up, and I remember speaking to somebody, and they said,
"Oh, I was doing,
yeah." I mean, and that's fine to an extent, but you don't know what you don't know, and so like somebody said to me, "Oh, you don't need to do a course on that. Just do it, go it." But then when I did have a really, really good trainer, and you learn about different intervals. I mean, there are intervals when you're playing your crystal bowls that can evoke spirit. There are intervals that perfect fit. You know, there's, although it's very intuitive, there is some theory behind the sound as well. And having both, it just really, really helps to solidify that you know that what you're doing is right. I mean, you know anyway, but when you have that theory behind it also, it helps. Yeah.
I think it helps too, Alice. Do you, maybe, I'm not sure your opinion, but I'm sure you agree. It helps when you're seeing it and you're experiencing it as you're learning it, as well as the theory. You know, just rather than a manual.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, my course, we actually we immersed ourselves in it. We had the treatments ourselves. We were working on each other, so we experienced. And that's so important. That's how I teach. You know, I'll demonstrate, then we work on each other, and it's so important to embed that learning.
Yeah. You've got to feel it. You've got to sense that and feel it. You know, when I use it, I just close my eyes and I use it and close my eyes, and I can just feel spirit coming around me. And eventually, I don't really hear much of the sound that's there, and then I just stop, and then that's me. I'm just going right deeper into the meditation, not meditation, but sitting with the love and the power from spirit world. You know,
I love the sound baths. I love them.
Yeah, I do a sound bath. What I find quite often in the sound baths as well is that people will say loved ones who have passed were there with them. So yeah, it's very profound. I always try and have that intention that everybody get people to set intentions, you know, at the start. It's very powerful.
I have known. I did have last year. I had sound baths healing. And
did you?
Yeah, I did. I had it at the centre, and I knew quite a lot of people there, but there was one or two that couldn't do it because they had tinnitus in their ear, and they decided no, they always get bad reaction from it. And then another lady tried it, and then she had to leave because it was just vibrating in her ear and her head, you know. Whereas for the rest of us, we were totally just lying there zonked. You know, like, is that it finished? You know, it was like waking up in a really deep sleep, except you hadn't really been sleeping. You know, obviously it was your own body and your own mind, you know, changing.
It is. It's lovely. You can feel it. You can just feel it go through every chakra. It's lovely. It's so nice.
Some people can take to it, and they do well and they enjoy it, and other people are like, oh no, it just affects my ear. And
it's maybe how open you are, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
Reasons, maybe.
Yeah, the tinnitus. I had a lady who did have tinnitus come, and she, at the end of it, she was like, "Oh my gosh!" When you played the highest bowl, she said that's the only thing that gives me relief from my tinnitus, and she wanted to go and buy one of these bowls because it cancelled out the tinnitus.
It's funny, isn't it? You know, but it's not. I mean, everybody's got things that work for them, and you know. But there was only two people.
And your niches,
there was only two people that had to kind of withdraw and pull away, but everybody else was absolutely fine. You know, and I found it very relaxing. I found it really comforting as well. Very comforting.
Yeah. And you feel great. You really do feel great. I do the sound bath meditations and I love them, but I've not been to one personally. It would be nice. That would be nice.
Yeah.
So I just have this massive bucket list. I'm making my way down it.
that was my first,
Anyway.
that was my first experience, though, Judith.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
I was quite glad that I had did it, because it's something I wanted to do. In fact, it's my second experience. No, that's my second experience I had. It was years ago I had one, but they're all different. They're all different.
Yeah.
You can't
But then
compare.
again,
They're not all the same. They're not all the same. And it's like your experience anyway is completely different, because it depends on you on the day as well, doesn't it? Do you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, like the other week, I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, it just went like that so quick. And that's the first time I ever felt that it had gone in a flash, but everybody else felt it as well. They all said, oh my gosh, that went so quick. It was like there was a collective time warp, you know.
And how long was it? Actually, how long was it?
I do an hour and a half, but well, it's about an hour and 20 minutes, and then 10 minutes kind of coming around and such.
Yeah,
that was the same for us. It was the same for us as well.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a little bit for the star magic healing. Now I know a little bit, but not a lot of it. And there is some different kind of views on it as well. So if you could explain that a little bit more to the audience who's listening, who maybe don't have a Scooby what that is, but would be interested in finding out.
Yeah. And what drew you to it?
Again, just intuition. I don't think about things much. If they feel right, like that first going down to the course, like the first going on an ayahuasca thing, it didn't make sense, but it felt right. And something drew me to it. And historically, I was more kind of left brain, logical, you know, clinical hypnosis, EFT. I have to prove placebo. And you know, I'm very much like that. And so this was a little bit way out, you know, talking about alien light code technologies and stuff like that. But something drew me to
Your
it.
DNA, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did the course in person. I think it was in Derby about 3 years ago. And on that at that time, we had to do like 10 case studies and such. And I was quite blown away with the case studies, because I was tuning in to people remotely, and I remember people were like saying things that they saw that I saw as well. Like one lady said, oh, I felt my mum come and give me a hug. And I could see, I'm not a visual person, but I felt the same, and the same colors. And I did it on people who were like Reiki masters, and they said it was nothing like Reiki. And so it was very, very profound, and had a lot of really good results, but I didn't do much with it, because I think I had my own toolkit that worked phenomenally well. And that, you know, I just kind of parked it, and I didn't use it for a couple of years. And then one night, it came to me whilst I was sleeping to use it on my son. My son's 29 now, but it was about a couple of years ago. And my son had a scoliosis, you know, his top of his back, one of his shoulder blades stuck out, and, you know, Quasimodo, but, you know, he could
I'm writing down, because go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and I just woke up in the middle of the night, and it came to me to use it on him. So I remember I was doing the magic healing on his back, went back to sleep, thought nothing of it. And then a couple of months later, he came to my house, and he stayed over. He came downstairs with no top on, and I kid you not, his back was straight. There was a tiny little kink at the top. His shoulder blade was put, you know, straight. And I said to him, like, your back, you know, it's straight. He just said, oh yeah, I've been exercising. So I was like, okay, right. And I did actually, I've still got the voice note. I did text Jerry, who's the founder of it, and I said, you know, I'm amazed, you know, and he was like, no big deal, you know. It's like, oh, it's interesting, he didn't know you were working on him, but yeah, that's what happens. I was like, wow. And so I think for me, I needed that big kick you in the butt kind of like, so at the time I had a client who was probably the most nervous client I've ever helped, and anxiety was his thing, and we got him down from like 100 out of 10. He was so nervous, down to maybe a 5, but it was sticking at 5. So I actually said to him, look, I said, I'm going to use this new technique. It wasn't a new technique, but I just thought, I don't want to charge him for it. Just, I'd not done it for a year. All you have to do is go and lie down. I'll tune in. Anyway, I did it. And on his next session, he came pounding into the clinic saying, I don't know what you did then, but I want that again. And I don't need to deal with my anxiety. I want to work on confidence. And I was just blown away. So, yeah, I have been using it on and off since. I use it when I do the group healings as well. Sometimes I get phenomenal results. Sometimes I don't get much. But more often than not, I do get. Yeah, it's incredible.
So what would a client, if a client came to you and said, I'm interested in coming and getting a session for star healing, what would they expect on a visit then from you?
Well, first of all, I don't do it face to face. I can't do it face to face. So when I can do it face to face, that's not right. But I do it best when it's on a one-to-one, when I do it distant. So what I will say to them is I will just say to them, I'm going to start the session at a certain time. I'll text them before I start the session, ask them to be lying down somewhere quiet. And I will just tune in. The reason I don't do it face to face is, well, first of all, whilst I'm doing it, I'm snotting, my eyes are streaming, I'm yawning. It's not very pretty. So I don't do it face to face. But secondly, I feel like I can just really get into it and really, there's no distractions. I'm not worrying, like, what are they thinking? I just do it a lot better like that. Yeah, I've had some really, really phenomenal results with it. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And I suppose it's a bit like, Reiki healing as well, because I'm a Reiki master. So, I mean, it's more like the Reiki healing where you can sit distance Reiki, you can send that out, and people do feel it. People do genuinely feel that extension of that healing coming forward. And it certainly does work. So I suppose it's a bit like that as well, isn't it? That extension of healing getting sent.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I've worked with people who do Reiki and they said it didn't feel like Reiki. It felt different.
Okay.
And I mean, sometimes with that particular client I was talking about, his leg was like this, constantly twitching, jerky. You do get jerky movements sometimes. But what we're doing is we're working on the holographic blueprint of an individual. So we can bring up the holographic blueprint and we're kind of working on the back end. We're connecting to star systems, putting in new light code technologies. Literally, I mean, I've been there in it sometimes and I get beings come and they're like, come on, move over, let us take over now. And I just let them do it. And then, it's just
what you're describing is I really can. I do healing in a way that it's like what you're doing, but I'm helped with the beings. And I helped a lady and she had been going to surgeons and consultants. She had scoliosis. That's why I smiled, because she had scoliosis. I actually recorded it. I'm so glad I did. And we started. There's 4 of them. So they assess each patient, and then they give explain what's going on, what's happening, and then they begin the work. And I feel. Do you feel everything? As your clients, I would feel the sensations and the areas, and I help and I see them working. And the lady had scoliosis, and it stayed. They helped her with her back, and she said that it was amazing. And that's why I smiled when you said scoliosis, because it was like, I could relate to that, but very much with the stars and the light beings and a different way. But I also, I've tried Reiki too. I would do Reiki on our daughter sometimes. So there's so many different forms. There's the quantum form.
Yeah. I think it all boils down to we create our reality. It's the intention, imagination is so powerful, and quite a lot of the star magic healing is done in the imagination as well, imagining things. And I very much see flowers popping up when things have been complete. It's almost like flowers pop up, and there's been times where I've just literally been like watching like a film in front of me, and it's no two sessions are the same. Quite often as well, I'm removing negative attachments, entities, removing energies out of people's energy fields also. So yeah, we do that. It's I think it's all energy, isn't it? It's again, they're all roads go back to the same. Yeah.
So would you take part in the star healing and the star magic? Would you take part in the star magic, like you see the workshops, Alice, to see the workshops and the different events, like where it's open events for like a lot of people and things? Do you take part in those, Adele?
I haven't been to one of those open events. I know that Jerry's doing a lot of these open events. I've been to, we went to Holland doing ayahuasca, funnily enough, for a few days, where we were doing some work, but not those ones. I see a lot now that a lot of the clips are of people shaking violently and stuff. And although I did see some of that on the course, it's not all that. I think that kind of it puts people off. It looks very dramatic,
intense,
yeah. But I mean, that might be a snippet of part of it. And like I said, I've had clients who even remotely they've been having jerky movements. It's the energy, but it's not all like people. It's not all like that. Not all.
Yeah. I know there's. Oh, sorry, Alice. I just seen the advert and the clips, Alice, like you had seen, and I was thinking.
Yeah, but it is the real deal. It is the real deal, and I can honestly say that. Jerry's the real deal. Jerry, fantastic guy.
Who's Jerry? Who's Jerry?
Jerry,
he's the founder, isn't he?
Yeah, he founded it.
Find out a little bit more for the viewers. If we're just mentioning Jerry, who is Jerry?
Jerry's a geezer, Jerry Sargent. So he used to be into like all sorts of things, just a bit of a geezer. And then he had this profound experience, like an out of body, or he saw an out of body experience, and then things just progressed from there. But he's on a huge mission to have these healing centers strategically placed all around the world to grid up the space for natural healing. Yeah, I think he's got one in Wales. He's doing one in Bosnia at the moment. He's got them all over the world, but he's a guy on a mission. But yeah, it is the real deal. He was. I think he was prosecuted years ago for helping people cure themselves of cancer.
Spirit do also, also they do talk a lot about the grids and the healing and working with the grids. So it's interesting how you're talking about the grids too. So the healing codes, where does that come into it then, Adele?
Are you talking about the technique, the healing codes, or?
Yeah. Can you tell us, or for anybody watching, what the healing codes is about?
Yeah, so again, it's another energy therapy, and it's one that I years ago, probably 15 years ago, I went on like this half-day training course to learn the healing codes. You can get a book. I have the book because I did a little training course on it. I haven't got it here. But basically, it involves setting an intention. You have a prayer that you say first of all, and then you use. If I was to point at you, it's uncomfortable because it's an extension of energy, like a wizard would have a wand, that extension of energy. So what we're doing is we're using the fingers. We leave a bit of a gap because that creates a void for the energy to flow, and we point on these 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, like this, doing it at 6 minutes whilst focusing on something positive. I did a little free training on it just to teach people it, because it's out there in in public domain. You can get a book and you can teach yourself. And people were reporting back to me, oh my gosh, I feel like so much more at peace about things happening. My migraines have disappeared. Again, it's just having that intention with the energy. It's all energy and intention.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So it is. Yeah.
I was just going to ask as well, I want to just go back on something. I know that you do help quite large companies as well. So what is it you do with this? I know there's quite a few large companies where obviously we're not going to publicize and who the companies are. But what do you do with the companies? Is it as a team, meeting sort of thing where you get the staff in and you work that way?
Yeah, it started out, I would be asked to go in and maybe do a talk on stress management or a talk on resilience or mindfulness. So I would go in and do that. And then it kind of grew to doing whole health and well-being days and events. So there'll be myself, and I have a team of people, like people doing health checks, people doing nutrition talks, talks on menopause. And also now sound baths, I do a sound bath in the boardroom. That's what I like to call it. Bringing the woo to the workplace. So,
yes.
So we do the events. So we started off doing that, and the mental health training, teaching people about first aid and such. But then increasingly, I'd get asked by HR people about, they'd say, we've got this member of staff who's really struggling. Do you know where they could get some help? And I'd be like, well, okay, I can help them. So I would see them, or if it's anxiety or something like that. But if it's like a grief issue, I have somebody who I refer to who's grief specific. So I started getting a lot of referrals, and then another company I dealt with would say, do you know anybody who can help this member of staff? And another one. So although I never advertised I was a therapist and I could help people, just constantly companies asking for this help. So I'm just about to launch a course teaching therapists how to get into businesses, because I really want to see more of this work done rather than the CBT, and which has its place. But people need to start delving within and dealing with their traumas, and people within the workplace are more holistic and spiritually aware, and the workplace needs to reflect that. So I want to teach the therapists how to get into the business. So I'm launching that very soon.
That sounds very interesting. And, it's excellent what you're doing, because there's so many companies and workplaces under so much stress. Particularly, I think the NHS would appreciate that, that as well, but apart from that, there is so many companies that are under stress. And sometimes, in a work situation, you don't really in the best will of the world, maybe try and help, the people that are working there, but you can't help everybody. And I think, it should be for everyone. It shouldn't just be, just certain people. It should be for everyone from the bottom all the way up,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's like a bit of the ebb and flow, cause and effect, really, isn't it, coming into play there?
Yeah, isn't everything cause and effect?
Yeah, but what they're more mindful.
Yeah,
and it's definitely.
I think sometimes it can be sometimes it could be a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction with some companies that contact me. Maybe they might have had a suicide, sadly, and it's like, right now we need to do something, But the majority, it depends on the size of the business as well. You might have your smaller. I deal with businesses from like 50 staff to like 30,000. The smaller business is an element of maybe the person, like the general manager or director, who has some form of experience with mental ill health, either themselves or a family member, and they really see the benefit of trying to look after. They've got a genuine desire to look after their staff. When you get to the top end of businesses, it's like sometimes it can be a tick box exercise. And so it's about changing the culture from one of stigma and pressure through to, well, actually, it's really important. We spend half our lives at work. Work's the place, though, where people feel least comfortable talking about how they feel and about their mental health. So education is really key on that.
Yeah, that's very true. It's like an extended family, really, isn't it? Where you spend more time there, Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a form of therapy too. It's really very much therapy.
Well, sometimes work can be the place that's the savior. If you've got somebody experiencing depression, being the first thing people think is, all right, get some time off work. But I've had people say, if I was sent off for work, I wouldn't be sat here now, being alone with all those thoughts. So it's about getting that balance right.
And it must bring so much reward to you too, because I know, Alice, if you're working spiritually, and it brings reward, in the sense as in you feel that comfort you're helping that person with. You feel that it's rewarding. It's very rewarding and comforting.
It
is
making differences.
Yeah, especially, when people are sent through the workplace, I'm seeing people like guys, young lads who would never seek a hypnotherapist or an EFT practitioner or a Star Magic healing facilitator, but that's what they get. And the businesses aren't bothered if I'm doing that, as long as they're seeing the results, which they are. I've had businesses pay me to do Star Magic healing on people. I don't go into what I do, but they just see the results. So
you're lifting that vibration, aren't you?
Yeah, and the beauty of it is as well, with the cost of living crisis, there's a lot of people feeling that pinch at the moment, and they're going into the work and they're presenting in work with these issues. Well, work does have the budget to deal with that, and it's in their interest to help that individual. So people can access these therapies that they normally probably wouldn't be able to afford through the workplace.
It's lovely to see holistic therapy reaching out further and further. So it is.
I think it's really badly needed.
Yeah.
And like what you had said about the person you were talking about who had the cancer, and it was more of a natural kind of treatment. I'm not saying it works for everybody. I'm not saying that, but see if it works for some people, then that's a job getting done, isn't it? That's so that I don't think it should be sort of thought of as, oh, that's a load of nonsense. You can't heal cancer naturally. Yeah, you can because
Spirit very much talks about it. Yeah,
the mind is very, very powerful, and spiritually wise as well. If it ain't your time, and they will make sure that they will make sure that you will last longer, to continue the journey that you started out your own path.
It's very much like that, claiming it, attaching it, isn't it? If you attach that, I don't mean that in that way, but if you attached it to your mindset, it's like claiming it. And we were chatting about claiming things last week, remember? It's very similar to that.
Yeah, we were.
Just in different ways.
The mind is very, very powerful indeed. So what have you got coming up then, Adele? Anything else coming up? I know you've mentioned about this, but have you got anything else coming up?
Well, I have an EFT training course starting on the 2nd of March.
Are these online or in person?
Both. I do it dual delivery. So I love delivering in person, because especially on the EFT course, people are working on each other. It's therapy and training in one, so that's done here at my house in Telcos, and also online as well. We have like people who are joining via Zoom. And then after that, it's the breaking into corporate. So teaching people that. It's a 12-week course. I'm currently writing a book as well on that, a step-by-step process on how to do that. Yeah, how to package yourself.
I was going to mention that to you about a book, because have you not wrote another book as well? Did you not write a book before? Yeah,
I've got so. You can probably see it there actually. That one. So Enchanted Fairy Tap. So I wrote that, gosh, years ago. I remember I had so many clients in Enchanted Fairy Taps. Let me show you.
I love the name.
It's lovely, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just a children's book teaching EFT.
Because
I went for quite a few weeks having women sort of in their 60s who after a couple of sessions of EFT, lifelong depression sorted, and it's usually things in their childhood as mostly, and they'd say, why didn't I learn this in childhood? They'd gone 60 years experiencing depression or anxiety, and something very, very simply could be dealt with. So I thought, right, kids need to learn this in school. So I wrote this book to teach children EFT. So it's just a little. That's actually my son.
Is it?
I actually drew my son Leon. But yeah, it's just to teach them the technique, and there's some videos.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
That is a great idea.
We actually touched on that last week too, about taking more holistic approaches into schools and touching it. And I do see it going along those lines, because children are they can be quite cruel sometimes in the way they behave, but also they're quite innocent and they're quite open. So I think it's very easy, as you say, to help if your clients maybe 60 years down the line go, why did I not know that then? Techniques like you're doing in your book for children. To me, that makes a massive difference for children going through their primary school, going through their education, just in their education alone, because anybody who's a parent knows that their children, if they're doing their they're stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, key stage 3s, you're different, and then you've got all the different GCSEs, A levels, it's teaching them how to deal with stress and how to manage that to help them function better in school, and maybe help them through those exam periods, those hard times, those stressful times.
How would anybody, where would they go to purchase your book, Adele, the one that you've just shown?
Is it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. Okay.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. I
always like to ask.
Yeah, I had a little kid, 7 years old, came to me with stress. You mentioned stress, and he said, when I've had a really hard day at school, I come home and I do my happy tappy spell, and then I feel great. It was just so cute the way he said it.
Yeah. It's lovely.
She enjoyed it.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter what age you are. As a young child as well, it's very stressful even going to school and settling into school. I didn't settle into school very well at all as a young child, and I can remember, running back to try and get my mom or my dad that was taking me to school, take me home. I didn't settle in very well at all. Whereas my daughter and my son, they walked in there quite happily and gave me a wave, and I was like, oh. They're all right.
You were like, they're not going to miss me. That was good. So they were well ready.
They were fine, yeah. So, but I think it's good because you, as children as well, I think, there is that innocence. but there's also a fear there with them at times as well, but they don't know how to express it, and it can come out in other ways, you know. So yeah, oh, well done you doing that for young children. Yeah. I must have a little look
It
at
is. I sorry, no, go ahead.
No, on the go.
Sorry, there's a real lag.
Our grandson, he did. There's a new test over here. You have to do like an AQE or things like that to transition from primary school to seniors, like secondary school, should I say, or grammar school. So if you want to go to grammar school, you must do this exam, and all our children have done it. And our grandson, they just brought in a new system, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's a new system they had to do. And our grandson's very spiritual, and he said to me, "Nanny, what crystals do I need?" And I did this actually with our youngest daughter and our granddaughter and our grandson, and I gave them crystal bracelets, because you can't take things in with you. So they wore these different types of crystal bracelets, and I explained what they were for and explained about the intention, and they set their own intentions into their bracelets for their exams, and that alone, I think, really made a difference to the stress of it, because he thought he had an amethyst and he had this and he said, "I'm well prepared," and he was, just with the intention, his own intention, his own intention for what he wanted to achieve. Absolutely. I feel for that for children in schools. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There's so much more we can be taught to children. So I'm really pleased that we kind of discussed about your book there. But
I'm going to get it for my grandchildren.
I'm going to get it for my granddaughter. I'm going to get it for my granddaughter.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I took a note of it to get.
So
make sure you look at the videos in the back as well, teaching you how to use it, so you know. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so the next book you've got coming up or coming out, you're still in the process of that one, which is obviously completely different, so what was that called again, when it comes out?
The breaking into corporates.
Okay. Right. Okay.
It's teaching therapists, because a lot of therapists want to work with corporates, whether they're therapists or healers, and there's a way to package it. Corporates have their own language, they have their own needs, wants, desires, and it's how to do that. And I also teach them. I have a 1 hour, 45-minute session that I've delivered in hundreds of different corporates and in the NHS on resilience, which I can teach to anybody. So it's a good thing to know to get in, to get the foot in the door. It's just teaching them how to do that and giving them support and coaching and how.
When does your course start? When does that course start?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that. I should have had it. No, I haven't got a date in yet.
Oh, you haven't? Okay. So we just ask everybody to keep an eye out for that then coming up.
Yeah, if they go onto my website, I will be putting on my website. That's on my list this week. I'm just finishing off with the EFT course on the 2nd of March. But yeah, it's going to be
just trying to get you that plug in there. You're grand.
That's one thing I'm never very good at is like self-promotion. It just sort of happens organically. But I should.
When is the book coming out?
Soon. It'll be about. It'll start in about 2.
Sorry, there was a blip there.
Gosh, I reckon it's going to. Yeah, it's a bit of a lag. The book, I'm still in the process. I've written the majority of it, but it's still tweaking. So I reckon it's going to be at least another 6 months with everything else I'm doing.
There's a lot of spirit here tonight, I have to say. The spirit has been in this podcast since we started. Yeah.
And you notice as well at the end of it, when you're listening back, you can hear all these voices coming through in the background.
And all night, Adele, your
Yeah.
camera has been zooming in, zooming out, zooming in, zooming out, zooming in, out. So
No,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
me. I was
Really?
doing that. I was doing that.
No, her, not us, not us. Only Adele. It was actually just Adele's screen.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
It's no, Spirit was like zooming in, zooming out, zooming in, zooming out.
Interesting.
Just in case people say, that wasn't.
How did she do that one?
Oh, how interesting.
It's like the light as well. It's going on and off, you know. You go dark,
Yeah.
then you go light, you know. But I can hear the voices in the background coming in. I can hear it quite strongly. And when you listen back, you can actually hear. Well, I heard a man's voice last week. I don't know if you managed to hear it properly.
There's a woman's voice in this as well, but it's not your voice. It's not ours.
Yeah, no, it's quite amazing, really.
She's been here the whole time. No, there's more. Yeah, more.
We're quite packed tonight, I think, you know. So they like to join in, which is lovely, and we love having them. So it's great, and I want to thank you very much, Adele, for tonight. It's been absolutely brilliant having you on the show and meeting you in person.
Yeah, lovely.
It's been lovely. And when your next group is good to come out, then please let us know, and we will also help you like advertise it or get back on the show again, and you can talk a little bit more about your journey with that as well. So so I hope you've had a great night.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I have. I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's been. I've loved hearing all the difference, and it's. I know we work in all different ways. It's still all so spiritual, and like spirit has very much, like as when we were sitting, they very much have been here all night, haven't they? And that's just so lovely to see. And even though you don't maybe work in the sense like, you know, spirit and as you are working with spirit in the sense that you're following that inner knowing, you're following that intuition, you're following that trust, and that inner guidance, and that
you're definitely working with spirit world.
That's very much spirit, you know. So
this is what I like about the chat show. This is what I like about the chat show, because it should be open and spiritually incorporated to everything spiritual, you know, and not just this one and just keeping it in that box and it's just that and nothing else, you know, because life's not like that. You're not kept in a box, you know. You're free to explore. So
and there's very much a light. Oh, sorry, I just have to say there's such a lovely light around Adele, and there really is such a lovely light around you, and you can tell you do a lot of healing and a lot of caring and a lot of making differences to people. I want to put it that way, making differences to people, which is lovely.
That's when you know you've got the right job, though, doesn't it? You know, because you get pulled onto the right job, you feel fulfilled, and every day is a pleasure to go and do. Do you know?
Yeah.
I don't feel like I work. I don't feel at all like I work, and I bet you ladies don't either. Yeah.
That's right.
That's lovely. It's so nice.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a real pleasure having a chat.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
So I'd like to just say thank you to the viewers as well who have been listening tonight. This will be going on to Spotify Thursday, 8 o'clock. So for those who maybe have missed this evening, Spotify podcast, 8 o'clock, it will be on, and also Apple and other channels as well, YouTube channel as well, Alice Trevorrow, Sparkle of Light, it will be on that too. Please remember, and please, I'm putting this out here, to subscribe, like and subscribe. It's free, but it helps us greatly, and it just helps us, you know, just move up a little bit.
Hit the wee button, just hit that button.
Click the little button there and just say, okay, I'll subscribe to that. It doesn't cost you anything, and it means also you can find out then what's coming on next. And
and you learn something every week.
You learn. Life is all about learning and growing. So
that's it.
we very much appreciate that. Okay, so I would like to just say, on behalf of Judith and myself, thank you, Adele, and good night. And please, everybody, look after yourself and each other. Good night.
Take care.